This is All India Radio. In the program Spotlight, now we bring you a discussion on government's efforts in poverty eradication and nutrition mission in India. The participants are Ashok Tandon, political analyst, and Omvesh Upadhyay, AIR correspondent.
For a country that recently surpassed UK and became the fifth largest economy, India was a country that received global appreciation not for its COVID management, but also the public welfare schemes initiated to help the masses at large. Despite these revolutionary steps and the global applause, the recently launched Global Hunger Index fails to reflect this. As per the Indian government claims, the Global Hunger Index report suffers from serious methodological issues as it came up with this report on the basis of a very small sample size of 3,000 and it is comparing incomplete indicators. Despite high growth and India surpassing UK in being the fifth largest economy, Mr. Tandon, what according to you could be the reason behind this misrepresentation in Global Hunger Index repetitively? Could you please share this in detail with our listeners?
India does not need certificate from any agency in the world to prove that it is one of the largest democracies. It has freedom of press. Its economy is rapidly progressing. As you very rightly said, it's now one of the fifth largest economy. And there are parameters which show that India is on the rise as emerging power, particularly among the developing countries. And this is not for the first time that a very consistent effort is made by certain agencies, self-styled agencies. And the idea is perhaps to taint India's image as a nation that does not fulfill the food security and nutritional requirements of its population. That has been the effort, rather, if I may say so, a sinister campaign by certain agencies to put India in the dock. And I will not hesitate to call it misinformation campaign. And also it will not be out of place to say that the hallmark of the so-called annually released Global Hunger Index report of 2022 and released by a concern worldwide and World Hunger Alive non-government organizations from Ireland and Germany respectively. And they might have ranked India at 107, but the index is, as you also very rightly said, is erroneous measure of hunger and suffers from very serious methodological issues. 3 out of the 4 indicators used for the calculation of the index are related to health of children and therefore cannot be representative of the entire population. And the fourth and most important indicator, estimate of a proportion of the undernourished population, is also based on an opinion poll conducted on a very small sample size of just 3,000. Imagine. So therefore, the report, if I may say so, is not only a disconnect from the ground reality, but also chooses to deliberately ignore efforts being made by the government of India to ensure food security for the population, especially, as you also very rightly said, during the COVID pandemic. The bias is not for the first time. There are countries, NGOs in various parts of the world, especially in some countries which claim to be developed countries, those who claim to be self-styled champions of the cause of downtrodden and poor people, and they continuously do this and publish some kind of reports. So because the publishing agencies of the Global Hunger Report and all these other agencies have evidently not done their due diligence for releasing the report. That is the allegation of the government of India, but also of so many NGOs who are working in India on these issues.
Definitely, Mr. Tandon, you are pointing out a very nice reasons why we should think about the report more thoroughly. To continue this discussion further, I want to highlight that during the COVID period, the government had taken a series of measures to ensure food security. Even the last year, the Global Hunger Index 2021 disregarded India's economic response to provide nutritious food grains, and under which India covered 80 crore people in Garib Kalyan Ann Yojana. In one of a kind and the biggest public welfare steps during the COVID times. How do you see this?
Before I agree with you and elaborate further on what the Indian government and India has been doing, the matter has already been taken up with the Food and Agriculture Organization of the UN that it should not use such estimates based on this FIES survey module because as the statistical output of same will not be based on merit. So although an assurance was forthcoming that there will be further engagement on this issue, the report, irrespective of such factual consideration, is really very highly regrettable. I'm not saying it because the government of India has said it, but as a journalist, and we also see what is happening on the ground in India. And you have very rightly said that the government of India's track record of particularly the COVID period and subsequently has been the per capita dietary energy supply in India, and these are not the Government of India estimates, are they estimated by the FAO. And from the food balance sheets, per capita dietary energy supply in India has been increasing year on year, owing to enabled and enhanced production of major agricultural commodities in India over the year. And there is absolutely no reason why the country's undernourishment levels should increase and which have been increasing, and this is quite visible. So India is a vibrant democracy, we have a free press, and they also do assessments of how the government of India is performing on various fronts. The government is running the largest food security program in the world, and in the wake of economic disruptions caused by the unprecedented outbreak of COVID-19 in the country, India in March 2020 had announced the distribution of additional free of cost food grains, rice as well as wheat, to about 80 crore National Food Security Act beneficiaries, or 80 crore, and that scale is of 15 kg per person per month under the PM Garib Kalyan Anna Yojana, over and above the regular monthly food grain supply. So that means the regular entitlements of their ration cards, thereby effectively doubling the quantity of monthly food grains being normally delivered to the households, so that the poor, needy, and the vulnerable households beneficiaries do not suffer on account of non-availability of adequate food grain during the times of economic crisis. No, this is the track record. The government figures have never been disputed or contested by any political party in India or even the independent agencies or even by the Indian media. So far, under the Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Anna Yojana scheme of the government, it has allocated a total of almost 1,121 lakh metric ton food grain to the states and union territories, equivalent to about rupees 3.91 lakh crore in food subsidy. In India, the states and central relation, and therefore the central government help assistance to the states, and many of the states are being ruled by the non-BJP parties. So the scheme has extended till December 2022.
Indeed, Mr. Tandon. And when we talk about that India received global appreciation, we not only talk about the statements, but even the reports. According to the Multidimensional Poverty Index, India registered a huge decline in poverty from 55.1% to 16.4% during the 2005 to 2020-21. The report says that 415 million people exited poverty during this time. And here I quote the United Nations Development Programme statement applauding India, that this is a tremendous gain and a historic change. So when we talk about MDPI and how it assesses poverty multidimensionally, considering people across health, education and standard of living, in contrast to the one-dimensional Global Hunger Index, how do you see this comparison, and could you please simplify this for our listeners?
First of all, we must accept that India is a cooperative federalism. Why I say so is because at least a large number of states are being run by the non-BJP political party. So they have never raised these issues. And if we talk of the children under the Anganwadi services, especially since COVID-19 pandemic, supplementary nutrition was provided to approximately 7.71 crore children up to the age of 6 years and to 1.78 crore pregnant women and other mothers 5.3 million metric tons of food grains, comprising 2.2 million metric tons of wheat, 1.1 million metric tons of rice, 1.6 million metric tons of the fortified rice, and 12,037 metric tons of jowar and bajra were supplied. This is the true picture of it. And the distribution of supplementary nutrition was undertaken by Anganwadi workers and helpers across 1.4 million Anganwadis in India. Take-home ration was delivered to beneficiaries at their home every fortnight. This is real India, a new India which is now emerging. And under the Pradhan Mantri Vandana Yojana, more than 1.5 crore registered women were provided rupees 5,000 on the birth of their first child for wage support and nutritious food during pregnancy and post-delivery period. Which developed country, if I may say so, leave aside the developing country, which developed country is helping children and women to the extent India has been doing? And I think the best course for all of us is to ignore such reports which are biased, and I think malified also to some extent, because no other global agencies they have in fact endorsed these things. Not even the biggest, worst critics of India have also in fact supported these statistics. So I think the best course would be not to listen to these reports and continue to progress the way India has been. And if I may say so, the three other indicators apart from others included in this global hunger index relate to primarily to children vis-a-vis stunting, wasting, and under 5 mortality. Now, these indicators are outcomes of complex interactions of various other factors like drinking water, sanitation, genetics, environment, and utilization of food intake apart from hunger, which is taken as outcome factor. So I think calculating hunger based on mainly indicators relating to health indicators of children is neither scientific nor rational.
Definitely, sir. And to delve deeper into decoding the erroneous measure of this global hunger index, I would like to share one of the questions asked to the respondent. And I quote, during the last 12 months, was there a time when because of lack of money or either resources, you were worried you would not have enough food to eat? You ate less than you thought you should? Mr. Tandon, how does this question focus on the factual details and search for facts based on relevant information about the delivery of nutritional support and assurance of food security by government? How do you see these questions help in getting the answers for a 3,000 sample size?
Apart from the minuscule sample size, drafting of the question itself seems to be heavily loaded against the reply which typical Indian would give. When you ask a poor person who may be getting free ration, who may be getting all the facilities, if you put that question to that person, he will certainly say, no, there's a lot more needs to be done. We are getting something, but we need more. All that dil mange more is obvious. So therefore, when you ask, were you satisfied? Did you get that money? Were you worried about having enough food? Obviously, the person would say, we are not getting enough, we need more. And did you eat less than you thought should be? I think the very question is very, very doubtful. And we should not take it very serious. That is how I look at it. Such questions do not search for facts based on relevant information about the delivery of nutritional support and assurances, food security by the government. Because if the question was, is the government doing enough to give you food? Is the government giving you food free? Obviously, the answer would have been yes. I think the very question itself is very, very doubtful.
Thanking you for joining us today and highlighting how this Global Hunger Index 2022 report is not representing the true spirit and the true work of India. Thank you so much, Mr. Tandon.
Thank you.
You were listening to a discussion on government's efforts in poverty eradication and nutrition mission in India. The participants were Ashok Tandon, political analyst, and Omvesh Upadhyay, AIR correspondent. This program was produced and presented by the News Services Division of All India Radio. You can listen to it on our mobile app, News on AIR. This program is also available on our YouTube channel, News on AIR Official. You may email your opinion about this program at airnsttalks@gmail.com.